Bigfoot Radio. You are here with your hostess, Lauren Smith, and tonight we have Michael Freeman on, the son of Paul Freeman, and we are going to be discussing his upcoming book, as well as the life of a legacy Bigfoot researcher. So I am really excited to jump in with him. Before I get started, I wanted to give a shout out to that hardworking Nightcallers crew. If you could hit the thumbs up on whatever you're using to listen to the show, and subscribe or follow as well, I would much appreciate it. Also, you guys check out my merch because I redid the color logo and relaunched it. So you guys go check that out. Go get your safety orange for the hunting season, and it's squatching season, you guys. So y'all be safe out there, and I'm going to go ahead and get to the interview with Michael. You guys jump in the chat, ask questions. Be sure to type your questions in all caps so that my moderators can get those questions to me. All right. How are you doing tonight, Michael?
I'm doing good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm good. No, thank you for coming on. So Michael it's actually not night where he is. It is 1:30 p.m. in Hawaii.
That is correct. Kailua Kona, Hawaii. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he was complaining. He said that it was a little warm where he was right now. Poor thing.
Well,
okay.
It was when I left Spokane last week to come here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you said you get out there about twice a year. That's amazing.
Yeah, we try to about twice a year or Big Island, but either way, you can't complain.
No, I think it's funny that you went to the one state that hasn't had a Bigfoot sighting out of all of them for vacation.
And I love the mountains. Don't get me wrong, and I was raised in the mountains, but I am a beach bum. Like, there's no place else I'd rather be.
Yeah. Well, I guess you have the luxury to choose since you do live in the mountains. So, okay. So I wanted to introduce you. So you're Michael Freeman. You are the son of Paul Freeman, of the famous tracks and footage that he has captured, as well as a pretty healthy legacy of research. So that's something that I wanted to talk about tonight, is that you are a legacy researcher like myself. You were raised up in the Bigfoot world. Dinner conversation for other kids is like, how is your homework? How's baseball going? For us, it's more tracks, casts, evidence, Bigfoot people, meeting strangers from across the world. So that was kind of your upbringing, as I understand, right?
It was to a point, yeah, exposed to the research until I was about 10 years old, which is the first time I got to and spend time on site in the mountains with my dad. But the conversation, and there was people always around the house, famous people, John Green, Bob Titmus, Peter Byrne, all those guys. I remember hanging out around those guys and then being at the house. And so it was different, and there was lots of conversation about evidence and tracks. My mother actually really kept that separate from the rest of our family life, and table conversation, things like that. But I was 5.
That's amazing. I noticed that, in your book, you have a lot of big name supporters in that book that, did chapters for your book. So that's amazing.
I was really lucky. Well, first of all, I'm really lucky to have some nice connections and to have some people that are influential in the Bigfoot community that also support research and its evidence, and we're more than happy to help me out. And a fantastic chapter for the book. I actually personally think it's the best part of the entire book. But Grim wrote a fantastic chapter as well, and Doug Hightech is in there, and Tom Respect from Portland, Oregon. And we have Jonathan Summerlin, who's the Grand Area West Summerlin, who is someone that was always around as well when I was a child. Then Dar Addington as well, this is her first public appearance, except for a cartoon that she drew for Vance Orchard for Bigfoot of the Blues.
That's so amazing. Like, I love that you have all that support, that they are giving you support because of your dad's research as well. I think that's amazing. So you grew up in this. pretty much. I grew up around the same time. I was about 10 or 11 whenever my mom had her sighting, and I started getting into it, or I was dragged into it, whichever. So now my own children are in it, and, it's a generational thing for us. So how did it impact you, your dad's sighting? How did that impact y'all's lives? Like, did it change going out hiking? Did it change how seriously you took your safety out there?
Never changed how seriously we took our safety. No. And it's still, that doesn't impact when I go hiking or if I go hunting, anything like that. That's never in the forefront. I will say though, what it really did at the time is it altered our life either, because there was a lot of like criticism, and there was a lot of ridicule, magnifying glass for a really, really long time, and not just with the Forest Service but by the news media and his peers in the Bigfoot field as well. It was stressful, uh, and their media coverage, and whether he was famous or infamous, however you want to, kind of look at that. And still today, I mean, I'm 45 years old, and there's still that I'm under, and I'm still trying to do things and write a book and talk to people and give interviews, and I can't make any mistakes,
Yeah.
Otherwise, but yeah, life altering for not only my dad but everybody else in the family, for sure.
Right. I give I've given a presentation on the psychology of Bigfoot before, and how it changes people's lives. And people, my psych classes that I've given this presentation, and they're like, what do you mean Bigfoot changes your life? I'm like, people see this thing that is not supposed to exist, and it changes their entire life. I mean, it's ended marriages, it's caused people to lose employment, it's changed their family dynamic. It's a pretty big deal that people don't really take seriously until it happens to them. Obviously, it altered the course of your life.
Yeah, it did, and it does. It changes people's lives, and I've never had. I've been close to one before, but I've never seen one. But my sighting and my older brother has had a sighting, and
Yeah.
two completely different reactions. He became obsessed with it, and it became something that just engulfed his entire life. Won't talk about it still. And so it's two completely different things. Maybe I'm lucky I didn't have a sighting, because I don't like either one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it altered my dad's life drastically in employment. We moved, financial loss, probably 4 or 5 times. It was a rough 15 years.
I think I read somewhere that your dad, bless his soul, by the way, I'm sorry for your loss, that your dad sunk about $50,000 into Bigfoot research, he said. At the time of that article, he said that he had recouped, I think, $2,000 at that time.
Yeah. I can tell you, I'm not quite sure how much money was in 1982 when my grandma Margaret died. That would be my mom's mom, home to my mother, and it was sold to support Bigfoot research. And the most money my dad ever made at one time, for instance, the Dreyer's ice cream commercial he did in 1987. It was a national commercial. Dollars is what he made for that, and that's the most money he ever made. The most money he ever got, I believe, Doug Hycheck paid him $1,200 to license that at one point in time. He highly doubtful that he ever even grossed $10,000 in 15 years in his entire life. I don't have the numbers for you, but he easily sunk $50,000 into it easily.
Right.
And the money is just the beginning. A lot more that was put into there. Yeah.
Right. The time, the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears, his reputation.
Yeah, and nobody spent more time than like 4 days a week for 15 years straight, sometimes 2 weeks at a time camping. Do the math on the numbers on it, but it was a tremendous amount of time that he spent being time that he wasn't at home, being a husband or being a father, and he was away from home. There were times when he was gone a week or 2 weeks at a time, and this was before cell phones. Communication with him. She didn't even know if he was alive still. Those type of situations.
Missing 411.
Close, right? Yeah. What you when he would leave to go, if he was staying more than just a day, instructions with my mom on what to do if he didn't come home, like where to look for him, what to do if they found him dead, what to do if they didn't find him at all. He would leave.
Oh my goodness, that's serious. That's terrifying. That's before we had Garmin InReach and all those things that can track our locations and breadcrumbs. That's terrifying, honestly. Like that she lived like that.
She did live like that, and around that time, he was starting to carry his camera everywhere he went with him. He was taking pictures, and he was always filming, and he was trying to document everything. And one of the instructions is, if they find my dead body, the first thing I want you to look for is my camera. I will film it until it gets a hold of me, and I have to stop filming.
Yeah, I always tell people, if you find my body, check my hands, because I'm taking DNA with me. All right,
there
check
you
my
go,
hands.
right? Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, exactly.
Yeah. So your dad told you about his sightings. He shared his research with you. Did he make a believer out of you?
It's really hard to say. I kind of grew up with really a question in my home of whether or not this thing ever existed. It was there, and it was part of life. Just like, it's part of the mountains. It's just part of nature. And I never even questioned it until I was probably like 14 or 15 years old. And I started like having, these questions about, well, I've never seen one. I've seen, what is this? And I always tell people the one thing my dad did, like the first time proud of anything he did Bigfoot wise, was when he got the deduct footage. And I won't say an embarrassment, but it was difficult to live with. And just, everybody just thinks that, your dad is this or that, and you kind of live with it that way. But I actually just kind of grew up without questioning, because it wasn't. And then when I got older, I started to question, and then I started to do more research, and still every single day about Bigfoot or about evidence, and because I haven't had a sighting, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much I believe my father or anybody else, or how much I think everything is legit. There's always going to be that little tiny small fraction that just doesn't know.
Right. I 1000% understand what you're saying right now. I was raised in this from a preteen, 10, 11 years old. And my mom has had all these sightings, and I believe her, I believe her integrity. But most people, it's normal to have a crisis of faith. I have a crisis of Bigfoot existence. I'm in a crisis right now where I'm just like, I've never seen it. I've seen supportive evidence, but how could I have done this all these years and not had a sighting? And so I'm currently in that. I told my mom recently, I said, I've got to prove it to myself. I've got to have a sighting to prove it to myself, to make me a knower, because right now I want to believe, but it never occurred to me to not believe until around 15 as well, whenever it was just like, wait, hold on, just there's I've been raised to believe in this thing, but hold on, I haven't seen it. And I hear all these stories from all these strangers that we meet, and that's amazing that they all have these stories, but I've never seen it. So I'm right there with you. The research, I get out and research all the time. I listen to the experiences, the witness experiences, and I believe them. And I believe in the evidence and the data, but until I see it, it's not there yet. I'm not a knower. So do you believe that Bigfoot's real, or you just waiting to see it for yourself?
No, I believe that Bigfoot is real.
Okay.
100% believer that it is real, or 99, however close you can get to doing that. And it's not just because of my dad, but it's just because of all the footprint evidence and, the anatomical biomechanics that we get from the people like Dr. Jeff Meldrum and Grover Krantz, and these people that are devoted their entire lives to the study of anatomy, and they're giving me facts and they're presenting to look at. And I have my father's word to go on it, and I have his footage and to know what kind of man that he was, and I 100% believe him. But I've never seen one.
Yeah.
And exactly what you would just say. I feel like I can be a 100% believer, but never actually see one. And I probably never will. But there's always going to be that. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind of their existence. Although I can't watch the Patterson film to this day without looking for something in there that shows me that it's not real. Because, I think I am when I do look at evidence, even my father's evidence. Like I am skeptical at first, scientific facts of the evidence that I have at hand.
Right. So we did have a question from the chat. Squatchy Knight's Audio. She wanted to know, where was your dad's footage filmed?
The footage was filmed at Deduct in 1992. It was actually filmed at Walden Pond.
Okay.
But the locals just call it Deduct Spring. Yeah.
Okay. All right. She has a lot of questions. Hold on. She's blowing me up. Okay. She said, how did your dad present his find? The footage. How did he share that? Did he have friends and colleagues that he shared it with at first, and then it just, of course, blew up from there?
Shared with me and a group of my friends first, because we were the ones that were home when he got home that day. Watch it before anybody else did. He went directly from there to Wes Summerlin's house and shared it with Wes Summerlin, and Jonathan Summerlin was there as well at that time. Contacted the local news media after that, and then it was on the news within a couple of papers, and then of course it went to national news, and then Hard Copy got a hold of it, and it was, yeah.
All right. Squatchy Nights, the name of the place is also listed in the chat if you wanted to see that again. So your dad had a sighting I believe in 1984, and then he got the footage in 94 or 92. Did that validate it for him again? Did he need that revalidation, or did it change the game for him?
Well, first of all, 1982. And then, it was 10 years later when he got a brief moments of validation, to be honest with you. You have that moment of he was super excited. He wanted, to share it with the world. And because then the skeptics come and the critics come. And the first thing that anybody says, it can't be real because Bigfoot doesn't exist. And so it's fake. And then that moment of gone. And I think there was probably a week or two where he had really got something that was going to be fantastic before all the critics and skeptics just down into the same hole, and then he was back out there. But I the footage, he wanted to kill one, and in the mid to hunting to put a body on a table to present that to science. He no longer, around that time period, wanted to kill one anymore. The one after he'd gotten the footage and wasn't interested in getting more footage or taking more afterwards. I think it validated it for himself, and it validated it for his family and him, but it was never accepted by the scientific.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's really hard. We see all these people that put the evidence out there, or I do. I see all these people, they put pictures out there, or, tracks that have been casted, just audio, different stuff, and then they get torn to shreds by all the skeptics and critics. And, I always think how brave they are putting their find out there and then getting torn to shreds. And it's just like, it's hard to put stuff out there in the Bigfoot community.
Well, and they just don't get to critics. They get torn to shreds by their own peers that are in the Bigfoot community, or for some reason, that's what happens in this field, like this cryptid field. A lot of jealousy and a lot of infighting, and nobody wants anybody else to find it, or they don't believe it, and I guess if you don't have any success, the easiest way to keep your name in the headlines is to become a skeptic of your own peer, by Eric Beckjord, by the way. And it's very, very true. And he was talking about one particularly whose name I will not mention, but if you look at the time period, you could probably. But yeah, I see every day on websites, forums, blogs, whatever, people posting pictures. Hey, this is my 20th picture of Bigfoot, right? And there's nothing there. But I don't say anything about it. I just let it go. If that's what they want to believe and that's what makes them happy, then that's fine. Okay, we all know that there's not a Bigfoot. I don't think there's any reason to jump on everyone and just tear them apart and believe in something. We all know the real evidence from the evidence that's not real. Okay, but that being said, the people that tend to do that, they're not actual evidence that's being submitted. It's just like every time somebody goes and hoaxes everybody else back like 100 steps again, because we have to overcome that to everybody. So please stop doing that. And not every picture in it, but I guess that's none of my business. So.
Well, I'm right there with you. I am super anti-hoaxer, and I told my mom, actually, before I started this show, I was like, I'm going to keep all hoaxer in the chat. Anyone brings up hoaxer, they get booted immediately because my blood pressure can't take it. So just know that we have special security for this show. But it's just, it is very frustrating.
If you knew how much of this I put up with, it doesn't even, and the one thing I did learn from my dad that he was very good at, actually, is critics with no animosity whatsoever. And I'm really trying to do that, navigate through this Bigfoot world without saying anything negative about anybody.
Yes.
And trying to get along, and I just wish everyone would work together as a concentrated effort. I think that would get us a lot farther.
I agree 100%. I think if everyone was kind, that would help a lot. My motto for night callers is be kind or kindly shut up. Because if you don't have anything nice to say, just shut up, because you're not helping anything. You are hurting the whole process. Hoaxers set us back. People that support hoaxers also set us back. There's no integrity in the field if you guys support something you know not to be true. The person can be sweet as pie, but if they're hoaxing, they are invalidating all of our research and the time and money that we spend away from our families out in the field validating this subject. But definitely, if people would work together, that would be better. I'm very proud of you for choosing to take the high road. That's something that my mom and I have always tried to do in this community over the last 20 years. I'm very proud of you because if somebody came after my mom's character or my mom's evidence, I'm not sure that I could be as kind as you are right now.
Yeah, I mean, I had to learn to live with it, and there were some bumps along as I'm going on how to navigate and deal with this, and part of the frustration as well. And some of them are part of certain groups that they want to like attack, and they want to attack my character for some reason now, because I support keep his legacy going. And then you look into the background of some of these people, but some of these people are like people that have been caught hoaxing themselves. And then they want to go ahead and throw shade and pile it on somebody else. I mean, it seems like every time I do one of these interviews or when I announced that I was going to write a book, the whole posse just came after me, and I guess if that's what they want to do and they want to, so they can go to their little group and blog about it, they can waste their time. Go ahead if that's the life that you have. But, if you're not a believer in Bigfoot, and don't waste your life like telling everybody else that everything is fake, and find something else to do, please.
Yeah, to me, if a lot of the talking heads in the Bigfoot community, if they put as much time and effort into research, actually researching, as they did talking bad about people and tearing other researchers down, we would have probably solved this mystery, because a lot of them have real talent. They have some good talent, that a video analysis that would, help to validate videos or whatever, but they're using it to tear down, like, for instance, the Patterson-Gimlin footage. There's one person that literally his entire popularity is based on tearing that footage down. And I'm like, there's about 75,000 other fake videos out there that you can go after.
Right?
Have at it. Move on.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. But
Yeah.
This has been going on since the 70s, the 80s. I mean, researchers have been in disagreement for a long time. And there have been prominent researchers that have, non-researchers that might offer them, competition, how to word that, but yeah. So
ego,
and,
and jealousy.
And something I do say in the book, in the book at the very beginning, is that this is not a jealousy contest.
Yeah.
Period. Like, to be that way. But unfortunately,
yeah, it sucks. It has to be said. It sucks. It's a lot like junior high a lot of the time. And it's sad that it's been repeating for so long. I talked to a guy at the Alabama campout I went to recently, and he said that he had been in the same group with, like, it was the original Patterson-Gimlin club or something, and he was part of this group, and he got to hang out with all the greats. And I was like, well, why did you leave? And he was like, oh, just all the BS. And I'm like, oh my God, we have not advanced at all. It's ridiculous. It's human nature. It is. Okay, so back to your book. Oh. Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, so tell me about your book.
My father was going to write a book, and it was one of life, and he had decided around 1988 that he was going to write a book, and audio recordings on videotape, or not videotape, but and we have about 7 or 8 hours worth of audio that he and nobody had ever heard these. I'm actually the first person that ever played it, sitting in a box, and they came into my possession sometime after his death. Very, very vocal about he was going to write a book. He wanted to make some type of, and then his health went downhill and he passed away. And so, I find 20 years after his death, it's a little late. And that's one of the criticisms I get is, why did you wait so long to criticize everything, right? Okay, so people are criticizing me for waiting 20 years, but I decided to, because he never got a chance to. And it's like the one last thing that I can do for my, it's also the one thing that he can do for my 3 sons that never before they were born. And they can have something that they can hold on to, and see pictures and that kind of stuff. But, that's the reason it was done, preserve his legacy, and I want to push it out there. And I also kind of want to at least some of the rumors to rest. And if not put him to rest, look everybody writing it and say, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to publish a book. And if you don't like it, that's too bad. But, my dad is, one of the pioneer researchers. There's a Mount Rushmore for Bigfoot researchers. He would at least be deserving of one that's on there. And some of his footprint evidence that he found is some of the best ever been presented, especially when you look at the dermals from 82. But, down to it, I really just wanted to do his book for him, which I've included these audio tapes that he recorded, in the book, and you're going to be able to listen to them. Now, I didn't include all 8 hours because, no one wants to listen to him talk about a horse in a trailer for 45 minutes because that's some of this. But there's 39, 40 audio clips, and it's about, worth of him telling his own story, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's going to be the best part of the book talk.
I think that's amazing. I think, I hate that he didn't get to write it, but I think it's amazing that you are, and you're bringing a whole new spin to it. You're validating his you're validating his research. You're sharing his research, which is what, you're all about, sharing that research, cohesive. But also that you've gotten those big names to support it as well. That's all the work that he put in for so long. I mean, this is kind of the fruits of his labor.
Yeah. The best thing about all those big names is I didn't have to ask anyone twice. They were ready to go before, we even had a real idea of what kind of to do, and it's something I kind of kicked around in 2000, writing a book, but it was going to be more, I guess, about me and my dad was going to kind of be like to grow up in this type of situation. And it kind of, forgot about, and then it kind of came up again recently, and talked to Cliff Barrickman, and I talked to Doug Hychek, and the best way to do this would be like an evidence file, hence the name Freeman Bigfoot Files. I'm going to present his evidence, and let's show all the pictures. Let's show the tracks, location of where we found these, like what time of year was it? What was the date? Where's this location? Show the cast. Let's show all the video, and the footage. Let's show this map and find detail, and tell you what everything is on there and where are that kind of stuff. And I just want to share his research so everybody can see it. I want someone to prove this. And me, and it wasn't my dad. And if somebody proves this, and or we get a chunk of a body, or we get sufficient DNA to prove this, then my dad's gonna win. I mean, that's what I want. And so, if me sharing evidence and location data, movement data from his map and all this stuff, if that helps someone in that area, evidence, or possibly even find actual proof, then please go do it. Shake my hand later if it helps. So
I think that's amazing. My mom has listed in the chat that she said maybe I'll write about her one day, but no one would believe it because I tend to hype her up quite a bit because she should be hyped up. Veterans like my mom, like your dad, they have put in the time, the effort, and the research all these years, and they've built the framework for us to, keep going on, and even for my kids to keep going on, and my grandbabies to keep going on. Hopefully, by the time my kids are old enough to they already get out in the field, but get out in the field on their own. Hopefully, we'll have proven it, but we'll be in the conservation stage where where we still have to find and collect data and conserve this species. That's what I'm hoping.
Right. Well, happen eventually. And I don't want someone to hunt. I mean, honestly, I think best case scenario is some logging truck coming over a path, and we're able to get a body, or and what did Krantz say? Cut off its head, its hand, and its foot. And I think that's probably about best case scenario right there. I don't want to see one live, and I think that would be a bad deal. But eventually we're going to be there.
Hopefully. I know I go to the zoo with my kids, and I go to the primate exhibits, and they just break my heart. Like I can't even go to them normally. They're soulful, and they're so much like us, and it's very hard. So I don't think I could stand to see a Sasquatch in a cage. I think that would just tear me apart. But I do worry about if I do find, let's say I run across a body, like you said, I'm gonna take some pieces and then not tell anybody. Just like have certain labs that I trust or certain people that I trust, like take this, go
Right.
send it off, test it. Because I don't think we're allowed. I really don't think the government is going to allow us to be like, hey, look, here it is. It's this. My own theory. I think you froze on me, Michael. He did freeze. Okay, hold on, guys. So Michael is in Hawaii on vacation, and he said nothing in Hawaii works, including the Wi-Fi. So, so you guys just be patient with us while I get him back. So you guys can find his book, The Freeman Files, at hangar1publishing.com. It is available for pre-order at this time. I went and, of course, I couldn't read it, so I skimmed a couple of the chapter headings, and you guys, it's phenomenal. Doug Highcheck's would be one that I would call if I found a body. Doug Highcheck, Jeff Meldrum. It's got some phenomenal names in it, giving support to Michael's evidence, all of that. So you guys definitely go pre-order it and add it to your collection. Hopefully you get some good tips out of there. Hopefully if you have any certain feels about the Freeman footage, at least read his side of the story through Michael, and see what he has to say. So, Red Dirt, there he is. Red Dirt, there we go. Hey, welcome back.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm on my laptop now. For some reason, my phone shut down.
Oh my gosh, it probably got hot.
It's overheated and I can't use it.
It's okay. So I shouted out your book through all of that, told everyone where to find it and to buy it if they have any certain feels about Freeman footage, to at least read Paul's side of the story through you. So they can go do that.
Absolutely. And the book's also going to have, new enhancements of the Freeman footage that no one's ever seen before. And a lot of people are super excited over that. So that's going to be, another reason to go ahead and pick that up. And
that's amazing.
I think that we're finally going to be able to prove that there's a baby in this footage.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So you guys, you heard it here first. Go check that out. I told you guys where. It's also on the screen. It's also in the description. You guys can pre-order the book right now and have your own copy as soon as it's released.
Yeah, and it's cheaper now too because the price is going to go up once it comes out. So get it at the
pre-order price,
$12.50 discount, whatever, or don't, and then buy it more expensive later, and I'll make more money.
Yeah, just,
I
hey,
mean,
I'm here for it.
no one's gonna get rich off a book about Bigfoot, so it's a good thing I didn't do it for the money.
Yeah, no one's going to get rich off of Bigfoot. That is just not a thing. That is just not a thing. A lot of people are like, oh, they did that for the notoriety. And I'm like,
yeah.
what?
And, they said that about my dad for years. And you brought that up earlier about, him sinking $50,000 into it. And they said that about my dad for a long time.
Yeah.
And it just makes me laugh because, God, if they even knew what it was like, and I mean, we weren't dirt poor and we weren't taken care of, but it was my mom and my dad that suffered, and they're the ones that went without as all this money got, shoved into Bigfoot research, and then what was shoved into us and the kids. And but it's a joke to think that he was doing this for any money.
Oh yeah. None of us do it for the money. If you do, you're not telling the truth.
And the Freeman is real, we know.
You're breaking up again on me, Mike. It's the laptop. The laptop's overheating now. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank Michael for coming on tonight and for sharing the details behind growing up as a Bigfoot legacy, growing up under Paul Freeman and his years and years of dedication and research. You guys heard it from him about how much is sacrificed whenever you have a Bigfoot researcher as a parent, much less a Bigfoot researcher who captured footage or, was well known. So you guys just be sure to support him. Again, you can find his book at hangar1publishing.com. And yes, Patrick, Bigfoot research is a deficit. You guys can find his book at hangar1publishing.com. You guys can support him in that way. Pre-order his book now or wait until it goes on sale. And also check his Facebook to see if he's going to be doing any events or bookings. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below. And also, I just want to remind you guys to stay safe, be kind, and I will see you